Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with J Biggs, and we are just a couple of days away from Survivor Series 2017. So we are going to indulge you guys a little bit with our predictions for the show. We tend to agree on a lot of predictions,
We do.
But hopefully we can have some contradictory thoughts this time around. So Biggs, this is a very exciting show on paper. It's much more exciting now than it was 2 weeks ago. I think, if they had just rested on their laurels and like when they announced 4 weeks ago what the matches were going to be and just said, well, you guys figure it out then, I think it would have been a much less interesting show to go into. But they've made a lot of very exciting changes just over the last 2 weeks about championships changing hands, team members going in and out, and I think that intrigue alone makes it so much more interesting. I think, and again, I've harped on this many times before, unpredictability is a really good thing, and when you keep things like that, keep changing them up, I think it can really build interest and make things more captivating to watch. But before we talk about the show proper, let's pour an invisible one out for James Ellsworth, who was released earlier this week. Shortly after he had the intergender match with Becky Lynch last week in Manchester, and then he was off TV this week, and now we hear he's released. What are your thoughts on Big Hog getting released?
Oh my, I think it was a little bit too early. I think it probably should have happened once Carmella won the Money in the Bank, at least, keep him around till then. I saw that he was getting, the writing was kind of on the wall with him getting beat up by all the, the
ladies. Yeah.
Ladies. It was just kind of coming.
He's the reason that she has the briefcase twice.
Yeah, right.
He's the first female Money in the Bank winner, so it seems kind of, not unfair, it just seems poorly timed that he'd be out of the picture before that eventual blow-up does happen. But I mean, I think, I gave a lot of grief last year when Ellsworth, I thought, was being overused in the feud involving Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles over the title. He had some moments of brilliance, and I thought he was good in small doses, but then they were really over-pushing him, and I think people were getting sick of him. I think when they scaled back on him after a while, after TLC of last year, and they brought him back as Carmella's valet, I think that was a good use for him. But honestly, I think that him being where he was is so statistically impossible. The fact that he got where he did and did what he did is a huge inspiration to people. He's done more than what a lot of far more qualified indie guys are ever going to accomplish.
I think he even tweeted something to that effect.
Yeah, he's a very fortunate. I think what really kept him around as long as he was, he stayed humble and he stayed respectful. I think he was just a cool guy to be around. So I think I'm
surprised though he didn't go to maybe 205 Live or NXT, maybe even just because he's got a name and maybe develop him a little differently. I don't know. Do you think something happened? Do you think there's more to it than just
I think
creative's done with you? Because that sounds so.
I think
his
time. I think his time was up. I think every novelty act's got a shelf life, and I guess they just, even though I still think it's early, I think they still found that they've reached the expiration point with him. Yeah, but I mean, he's a huge inspiration to people who's keep working hard, keep following your dreams, whether it's wrestling or otherwise, and keep working hard, and good things will eventually happen. So I don't think James is going to be hurting after his release.
He'll be fine on the indies.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of indie bookings as a result of this. So let's move on with the one match that's been confirmed for kickoff. I'm surprised that in this 2-hour kickoff they've advertised there's only one match for it, and that's the Cruiserweight title match, the only championship up for grabs in this show. It's Enzo defending against Kalisto.
Right.
What do you think about this new relationship with Enzo and Drew Gulak, who I've come to call the Jake Peralta of 205 Live?
Nah, I haven't seen too much of it. I'm not going to lie and sit here and say I'm an expert, but I like it. I like the whole PowerPoint thing he's been doing.
PowerPoint stuff.
Yeah, I think that's all funny.
Yeah.
So I like that comedy stuff with the wrestling. I like it. So
I think what makes it even better is it's the dichotomy of Drew Gulak, who's this super nerd, and he's paired up with Enzo, who's he's kind of dorky in his own way. He's kind of goofy, but it's his is a different kind of goofy. It's you've got this
it's like a Fraggle with tattoos.
You've got Frank Grimes with a Muppet essentially, or Daffy Duck basically. And I think that pairing works so well together. It's an odd couple that I think works to perfection.
Right.
But what do you think about this feud with Enzo and Kalisto? The fact that they hot-shotted the belt a couple times over the last month or so.
I thought that was odd that they took the belt off Kalisto so quick, especially after making such a big deal of Enzo getting it.
Yeah.
It's going to save 205 Live. And, I think they should have honestly kept the belt on Enzo till Survivor Series if this was the plan all along. If it wasn't, then I think this booking is rather odd, and they could do something cool on 205 Live, like a title change if they plan on it, and do an 8-man elimination Survivor Series match.
That would have been a cool
to
way
fill the 2 hours.
Right, would have been a cool way to use the cruiserweights. And who's to say they haven't yet? At the time of this recording, we haven't heard anything about it. But you would think that they got enough cruiserweights at their disposal and they have this 2-hour block to fill. Why not put another Survivor Series match in there with cruiserweights or something, you know?
Right.
Because it's not going to affect the Raw and SmackDown war. It's its own island. It's 205
Well, you
Live.
and I both know, because we agree on booking, that you usually start a night off hot. You know,
cruiserweights.
and so cruiserweights, you know, what better way to do it than that? And that would get the crowd pumped up.
Well, technically, it is going to be starting because it is the
Well,
kickoff show.
you're right.
But it's like it's not going to be the kind of cruiserweight match that people want to see as far as like hot opener, hot high flying action.
Right.
Kalisto's going to get his stuff in, but who do you think is going to win this match for the
Kalisto,
championship?
unfortunately. I hope that Enzo keeps it. I actually like the whole Enzo thing going on right now, but I have a feeling they might put on Kalisto. If they don't, then where does Kalisto go at this point? He's been taken off of Raw or whatever he was on, and you know what I mean. So
I think he's on Raw technically now.
Yeah.
I am going to say that Enzo will retain. I think they're going to keep this going because now he's got the partnership with Drew Gulak. That's going to give himself some more mileage. So for the first time in a long time, we disagree on our predictions for a match. He's picking Kalisto. I'm picking Enzo. Up next in a 6-man tag match, it's going to be the Shield taking on the New Day. The two biggest trios in WWE squaring off for, I think it's the first time ever. I think the Shield had the Wyatt family feud a few years ago when they were first around. But now the Shield, the original Shield, because we want to make that perfectly clear, of Roman Reigns and Ambrose and Rollins taking on the New Day. What are your thoughts about this match?
I think it'll be a good matchup. Obviously two face factions, going at it. And with that always leaves a little uncertainty in my opinion. But I think I'd give it to the Shield here.
The Shield. Well, yeah. I think, we can agree the Shield is going to win this one because the fact they've reunited, it'd be silly for them to lose, in this kind of capacity here. I think it is going to be a very entertaining match. I love the stuff the New Day did with the Usos, and I love the athleticism and the stuff that Rollins and Ambrose do in the ring. And Reigns, say what you want about him, I think he's still very entertaining in the ring, especially with the right people. So
and Kofi can do his thing, man. Don't ever discredit Kofi. In the ring.
So I think all 6 of these guys, I love all of their individual styles, and when they're together, it's just a fine goulash, and I can eat that shit all day. Up next, Intercontinental Champion versus U.S. Champion, The Miz taking on Baron Corbin. Now, Biggs, I have to say, of all the matches, of all the champion versus champion matchups, I'm probably the least excited about this one. Probably because it's the one that hasn't been changed at all in the build to this match. But also, it's like I think the two of them together. I think Miz is great as a heel. Corbin, I think he's okay, but I don't think he can match up to the Miz's character. And I don't think it's a really fair fight in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an odd pairing for sure. Like I said off camera before this started, I'm surprised. I thought this was going to change for sure.
Yeah.
Because of how uninterested I am in the feud. But once, just like Jinder Mahal and Lesnar, though, in that same retrospect, I also thought to myself, that might change as well. So I wasn't getting too into it until I started hearing the banter back and forth, like Mahal calling out, Lesnar. And then on this one,
Miz and Corbin are doing their
they're doing their and then when he finally went to the whole Maurice thing, and Miz was like, "Oh no, you don't, talk about my wife like that,"
and he cursed.
Yeah,
right, said a dirty word.
Right. So at that point, I'm like, "Oh, the match is on," So
I
they've been shittily, I guess you could say, booking Corbin for months now.
Yeah.
Since right before SummerSlam. So, in my opinion, Corbin has no chance in winning this match, especially with the Miz Taraj back and everything. Everything's...
Yeah. And like I said in Who Wore It Better, I think it's been kind of a one-sided build because, obviously it's hard to build this match because they are on separate shows. But the fact that you've got, Miz, who is just leaps and bounds ahead of Corbin in terms of character, microphone skills, and he's had a chance not only on social media, but also on television to cut promos on Baron Corbin when Corbin has not had that luxury. He's been busy with Sin Cara, and so I think he's been kind of handicapped in that regard as well. Now, I think this match is not going to end with a decisive winner. I think there's going to be a disqualification or no contest.
Oh wow!
I can't say definitively who's going to win, but I think it's going to, if it is DQ, but I think it is going to have a DQ finish. But you think who did you say was going to win?
I think Miz is going to win. I think it'll be even a skull crushing finale or something. I think there might be some Miz Taraj interference or something. But here's my question: what is it that they're expecting the fans to do during this match?
That's a good question too, because I think by default people are going to cheer the Miz because I think people want to cheer the Miz, but he's still such a heel. They're never going to turn him.
Such a heel.
They're never going to turn him. So I think fans are going to cheer for him by default, but I think it's going to be a match that it's probably going to be the least interesting one of the whole bunch, to be perfectly honest. In a match that was changed just this past week in the go home, it's now going to be Charlotte, the SmackDown Women's Champion, taking on Alexa Bliss, the Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte, who is fast becoming one of the top babyface females on SmackDown, is going against the top female pretty much in the whole roster. What are your thoughts on this match?
I'm excited for the match. I think it was a smart change that people want to see, much like the AJ and Brock change. I think they backed themselves into a corner in the way of that they
when it was Italian Alexa originally.
Well, yeah, that and all the other matches down the card being heel versus heel with the champion versus champion. All of them were.
Yeah, pretty much.
So so if you think about that, it's like, well, we got to do something, change it up somewhere. But I think these were smart changes that I think people want to see. Like, we'll talk about later the AJ Brock, and people want to see this feud. I thought this would maybe even be something that we saw at like a WrestleMania. So I'm actually excited for this match. I think they're going to tear it down as far as the women's championships.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think these two have crossed paths in a singles capacity at all up to this point. And if they were, it was certainly heel versus heel. So now it's going to be a different dichotomy. I think the momentum that Charlotte has from the win on Tuesday is going to carry her over into a win on Sunday against Alexa Bliss. What do you think?
I think I have to agree with that one. They don't want to take that away from her right now.
Right. Now, here's the thing. I think we've been saying this for a long time, and one of these days, that broken clock's going to be right once in a while. I do think Carmella is going to cash in at this point and cash in on Charlotte and become the new women's champion for SmackDown.
That would get her some major heat, but then we're going to go right back to they couldn't have at least kept Ellsworth around for 5 more frickin' days.
It seems almost bittersweet in a way.
He must have not passed the wellness test recently. That's all I can think.
Juicing. Wouldn't that be the funniest thing if he just some horrific violation of wellness? No, it's you get 3 strikes already. You're not
injecting in his chin, trying to grow a fucking chin.
That's why it looks so weird. Because that's where all the scar tissue is. So we have another heel versus heel championship scenario here, where Sheamus and Cesaro, the Raw Tag Champs, take on the Usos, who people argue are not heels anymore, but they're tweeners. I think they're still kind of heels. Like they're definitely not exhibiting any face tendencies. At the very least, they're very neutral about things. They're neutral evil, I think, is probably the best alignment for them. But I mean, this match.
Didn't we have Chad Gable healing up on the Usos this week a little bit?
Yeah.
So maybe that's bringing them some faceness. I guess.
Or get some shades of green. Yeah, by default, the Usos are face, I guess. Right. And it's hard to boo the Usos for all of their athletic accomplishments and their abilities and stuff. Their feud with the New Day, I think, was one of the better parts of the whole year, as far as I'm concerned. But let's talk about this match. Again, you've got 4 very athletic guys. I mean, I loved Cesaro and Sheamus' performance last year at Survivor Series in the big tag team Survivor Series thing. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of the whole show, was Cesaro's hot tag.
Oh, yeah. Match. He just kept giving everybody uppercuts. It was crazy.
It was one of the memorable parts of the whole thing last year. So here we are 1 year later, and Cesaro and Sheamus are tag champs, and they're heels now. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining match on the level of New Day and S.H.I.E.L.D. That being said, who do you think is going to win this one?
I think the bar is going over. I mean, I don't think it would be bad to go either way, but I think the bar will probably end up going over.
I am going to go against you again here, and I do think that the Usos will win this matchup. I think that they're too fast for the bar here. I think they're ultimately they're going to do something shifty to win the match ultimately. I do think they are going to, and it's not going to be like a decisive finisher out through. Right. I think it's going to be some kind of sneaky roll cut, and that's what I'm predicting is going to happen here. So I think the Usos are going to win, and you say the bar.
The bar.
So the last of the champion versus champion matches, we have Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion, going against the newly crowned WWE Champ, AJ Styles. What were your thoughts when AJ shocked the world in Manchester last week and beat Jinder for the belt?
I'm glad it happened for a feel-good moment in England. I think it was a great change for the card. I was not interested in Mahal and Lesnar. I thought to myself, well, no matter what, the match is probably going to suck.
I was not looking forward to that match. Of all the matches that were originally booked, that one was one I was looking forward to the least, even less so than Miz and Corbin.
And even though I don't want to get my hopes up, I'm sure this is just going to be one F5 and done at some point in the match. But I think of spots in my head, and I think to myself, there's going to be one German suplex where he throws AJ back, and AJ does the flip and lands on his feet. And then it's like, wow, maybe he can get out of all these suplexes, but it won't last.
No. I've really given up on getting my hopes up for a match involving Brock Lesnar. I've been burned. I've been hurt too many times this year alone. So it's like I was so full of hope and wonderment when he was going against Strowman, when he was going against Joe, and all my dreams are dashed and just stomped by the heel of his boot. And so I am going to say Brock Lesnar wins this one.
This could be, just in my opinion, throw this in real quick. This could be that what people hoped was going to be the WrestleMania 31 main event of Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. It could be that kind of match.
You mean where somebody dies?
Well, you would think, but WWE's booking, especially with like the smaller, somebody like that's in that role.
Right.
Obviously, AJ Styles, if anyone, right now is hot. And think about this: if Lesnar's leaving after Mania, which I think his contract expires right after
Snooze
Mania,
to me.
Whatever. That's what I've heard, anyways. When again would they ever have a chance to do this match? Considering they're both on different brands, I think it's a perfect time. It's a great main event. I do think Brock Lesnar is going to go over, though.
Okay.
Obviously, but just food for thought there. When would they have done it again?
All right, let's move on to the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, beginning with the women's Team Raw and Team SmackDown. The big interesting thing, two very interesting storylines going into this show, and they might even converge here, is the fact that on Raw, the rumor was the 5th spot was supposed to go to Paige. She was supposed to be in that became a triple threat match and was supposed to be a fatal 4-way. Paige was supposed to show up on Raw as a surprise 4th woman and win the thing and take the 5th spot. But the rumor and the scuttlebutt is that she did something dumb, which is not too surprising for her, where she took pictures with fans on social media and blabbed about it, and so it kind of ruined the surprise, and so her punishment was being taken off the show. Meanwhile, you've got Charlotte having won the title on SmackDown, meaning that her spot on the 5-on-5 is now open. And I said on Who Wore It Better, logic would dictate that Natalya takes her place, but the fact they haven't immediately said that is going to be happening, and they are advertising a mystery 5th woman is going to be taking her place, almost makes me think that Paige is going to be there anyway in the end.
Yeah, I think that's a great option. I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it off camera before we started shooting. But first of all, you messed up by throwing the word logic into WWE booking.
Yeah, I know.
To figure that out.
Naughty.
Yeah, no. So, regardless of that, I think that would be a good option. It might be Natalya, but at this point, because you're saying that they're...
It's got to be one or the other, because who else do they have? Unless they bring back James Ellsworth in a wig. I don't know what they're going to do.
No. He could be the sidekick for Bray Wyatt, his sister Abigail.
Yes, that's the blow up of Sister Abigail's James Ellsworth. I would love it. And by the way, probably this match is going to happen before Charlotte and Alexa Bliss to facilitate my pick of Carmella becoming the women's champion. This match is going to happen first, then Carmella will come back later. That's my pick.
Maybe so.
But who do you think is going to win this particular 5-on-5 women's Survivor Series match?
I'm going to go with Team Raw. I think they're stronger. They got a lot. And Asuka, let's talk about that. Because here she is, thrown in this. In my opinion, the only way to really put Asuka over the way they've been trying to is have her destroy everybody. Even on the way out, her own team members, she just, gives them a kick. They all die. And then she gets in there and does some sort of spinning kick in the air where all the Team SmackDown members die.
She hits them all at once.
Yeah, and then simultaneous pins, it's over, Asuka wins.
So we're down to the final 5-on-5. It's the men's Team Raw and Team SmackDown, with Shane captaining SmackDown and Angle captaining Raw. Really, there's two ways this could go, in my opinion. And they're very similar threads, but they're different players. Either Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn cost SmackDown the match, or Jason Jordan cost Raw the match. I was dead set that Raw was going to win due to interference from Kevin and Sami. But then this last week on Raw, with what's going on with Jason Jordan getting knocked out and replaced by Triple H, makes me think that he also could play a pivotal role in this. And then, apparently... the official, unofficial stipulation is Kurt Angle's job's on the line if Raw loses. Which, it's like, people...
I didn't really get that for sure.
Right. To me, it was never made explicitly clear because, and we said this before off camera, that if WWE doesn't tell you something 20 times in the span of 30 minutes, it's not important to the story. So they never really hammered home that Angle would lose his job if the team loses. It's implied when Stephanie says it to Angle, but it was never really made a big deal worth talking about.
Right.
So I think I could be forgiven, if I may say so for myself, for getting that point being swept under the rug. I mean, it was always kind of implied that he was going to, he would be in trouble if Raw loses, but maybe not directly losing his job over it. So what do you think is going to happen in this match?
So much.
All the things will be happening in this
everything. Match. And Finn Balor is going to... No, I'm just joking. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that it's eventually going to be Jason Jordan that costs the match somehow. I think it might even come to the point where the finish is like literally like a bloody Kurt Angle or a passed out Kurt Angle with like a bloody Shane McMahon's arm draped over him and a slow ref count. Something to that effect. I could see that. I don't know. I know that Jason obviously is going to be upset that his father didn't help him when Triple H came out and gave him a pedigree.
Did him dirty.
Let him get kicked off the team. Now he's got a team with the guy who did that to his son. I don't know if this is setting up like a Angle with, Angle and Triple H.
Yeah,
or what?
It is.
I don't know.
No doubt it is. It's like, and here's the thing. Last year, SmackDown won the men's Survivor Series match, which makes me think Raw is going to win this time. Even though we agree Raw is going to win the women's too, and they love that 50-50 shit, I think they're going to go 50-50 from last year this year, not necessarily from within one show.
Well, last year they had to win because they'd just done the brand split, and
SmackDown needed
they need that. Yeah, we're the better show.
Okay, by that logic, by the fact that there is a fail-safe, there is a reason for Kevin and Sami to interfere and mess with Shane. This will help Kurt save face. It will help him stay on as GM for a little bit longer, leading into the match, the eventual Mania match with Triple H. So I think Raw is going to win yet again. Hope you guys all enjoy Survivor Series. Let us know what you think is going to happen at the show in the comments section below. So be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe to Wrestling with Regret. Buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. And check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. For old Egghead here, Mr. J Biggs, I'm Brian Zane, and we'll see you next time.